Lieutenant Syed Bassam Pasha dies in latest terror attack to strike Afghan capital, and Afghan security personnel inspects the site of a deadly suicide bombing in Kabul. Ramat Gulat. No one will ever know what went through the mind of Afghan police Lieutenant Syed Bassam Pasha in those moments when he came face to face with a man he suspected of being a suicide bomber on Thursday afternoon, but whatever it was, he did not hesitate to act. At his back was a crowd of civilians, many of them dignitaries, leaving the hall he was guarding. Around him were officers from the police company he commanded. The suspect had just approached their heavily guarded gate, the only way in or out of the compound around the hall. Broad-shouldered and heavily muscled, Pasha shouted at the suspect to halt, but instead the man started running. The officer stopped him, throwing his arms around him in a bear hug. A second later the bomber detonated the explosive vest hidden under his coat. 14 people, including Pasha and 7 other police officers as well as 6 civilians, were killed. 18 others were wounded, 7 police and 11 civilians, said Basir Mujit, a police spokesman. There was little doubt the death toll would have been far higher without the lieutenant's body blunting the blast, Mujit said. He's a hero, he saved many lives, he said. All 7 of those policemen are heroes, but especially him. Just think if that suicide attacker got past the gate, what would have happened you cannot even imagine. Pasha's father, General Syed Nizam Agha, is also a police commander. My son sacrificed himself to save other people, Agha said, proud but tearful when reached by telephone. He wept as he recounted his son's story. He had 2 bachelor degrees, one in political science and another one at the police academy, the father said. He studied 5 years in Turkey. He came back from Turkey a year and a half ago. He was 25 years old and he was single. He has 3 brothers and 1 sister. He and I are the only police in our family. He was a very sporty guy. Weightlifting was his sport, his friends said. The general apologized and said he could not keep talking any longer, he was too overcome with emotion. He had one last thing to say though. I lost my bodyguard in this incident as well, the general said. He had assigned the bodyguard to assist his son at the event, which many high-profile political figures were attending. He was my bodyguard for the last 15 years, he was like my son, Agha said. His name was Nur Agha. He left 3 children behind. 2 journalists for Rahafada Radio and Television were also caught up in the attack, said an anchorman at the station, Ramazan Abdullahzadeh. A reporter, Taki Sadid, was in critical condition and a cameraman, Hussein Nazari, was missing, he said. We checked all the private hospitals and public hospitals, but couldn't find him, Abdullahzadeh said. Now we are in front of the police hospital. I hope he will be here. Although only on police duty in Kabul for a year and a half, Pasha had already received a commendation from his superiors, which he displayed proudly on his Facebook page. His current post was commander of the 2nd Company, Police District 4 in Kabul, which includes the Khairkhana area where the attack took place. The lieutenant never expected to die, friends said, although the profession of Afghan police officer has become increasingly perilous. Dozens of officers were killed in 5 Taliban attacks Monday and Tuesday. He was always worried about victims, but he never thought that one day he would get killed, said his longtime friend, Syed Najib Asal, a producer at Tolo Television. Pasha was not someone who would have faced death fatalistically, as his friends told it. He had very big dreams for himself, Asal said. He wanted to be a general like his father, and maybe one day a high ministry official. The characteristic his friends most noted, though, was his cheerfulness. Every week or 2 he and his friends had a party together. He was always the cheeriest guy in the party, making everyone else happy, Asal said. ISIS in Afghanistan claimed responsibility for the attack, according to a post on Twitter by the Terror Monitor organization. It was the latest in a series of suicide attacks by the group in Kabul. A spokesman for the Taliban, Zabihullah Mujahid, said his group did not carry it out. The New York Times. More about Afghanistan Kabul suicide bombing. Reuse content. We use cookies to enhance your visit to our site and to bring you advertisements that might interest you. Read our privacy and cookie policies to find out more.